Hey, we're back with Mayor Dean Sanchez from the village of Umatac. Before we get to the calls, let me just clarify this one point, Mayor, because my understanding with the property that the school FQ Sanchez sits on is, of course, government property now, but previously was donated by a private individual for the purpose of building a school. Am I correct in that?
Very correct. And I say because if you look at the history of Umatac, the roads was never introduced to Umatac until such time in which the military has contributed. So we were isolated from the rest of the island. So the properties that exist down there belong to the people, the families. So we are part of an ancestral ownership of lands that practically belong to Zamoros.
So is this making up for Magellan's labeling of the island?
You know, the way the government is keeping us at bay, we seem to be giving up our properties to them.
My question is here is if the government takes it back for other purposes other than using it for a school, I mean, that's not the intention of the families that gave the property to the government of Guam for a school. So would they be compensated for that? Because that's not used for that purpose.
That's the very challenge the government is going to have to answer, and answer immediately, because it seems like the struggle of many of our properties that was taken away is the return of the properties to the rightful owner.
Anyway, let's go to the call. So let's go to Johnny from Umatac. Johnny, you're on.
Hey, Jess. Hey, Mr. Dean. This is John. You know what? I was just listening to the figures that and I did research on the computer. And I think the numbers that you got were coming from an audit that Doors books taken 2 years prior to this year. But that was a combination of...
Talking about the 3 million, the 140, or the million.
Yeah, it was actually like, they said 2 million, right?
Yeah.
Or $1 million. But that was a combination of 2 years, not 1 year. If you look down at the bottom, Bertha Duenas had put a note on the bottom. I was looking at the letter. That was a combination of 2 years. And that was, if you say 2 years, that's about 500,000 apiece, right? Every year. And what I'm puzzled about is I'm very concerned because when you go ask for a budget, you identify everything that you need. Now what we got to look at here is, are they providing everything that they've requested on the budget? Or did they request a budget of 9 or 500,000, whatever it be, and then they don't give it to them, and then the following year they increase their budget? Because why? Because the money gets directed somewhere else, right? So we can show that on paper, but where is the document saying that they actually spent that amount of money?
And you're right with that in your summation of that, because I'm wondering if you look at the salaries, you look at the per student amount that it's going to cost, 54. That's already inclusive of the 30 some thousand in the schools based on the budget they're going to get. Likewise, the 14 full-time staff. That's already incurred in that, and that's not going to be a loss. You're not going to fire. You're not going to get rid of 54 students. You're not going to get rid of the 14 staff. You're going to still assume it in one government. And if I'm not mistaken, again, Mr. Mayor, I think the government still wants to use it for something else. So if they do, you still have an occurrence on maintenance and all that.
Right.
And although it may not be in the hands of DOE, it'd be another agency. And the government, we are one government. The last I heard, we're one government, and it's taxpayers that paying for this one government that we have. I don't know. Anyway, caller, thank you for that. And I'm trying to make sense in all these numbers as well, because I wish that we get an audit on yearly the expense for down there, because the mayor said you're down to bare bones in regards to some of your to maybe your utility costs, your power, water, sewer, and then the maintenance, the upkeep for the school. So in your estimation, what does it cost to maintain that school on an annual basis, Mr. Mayor?
For my estimation, when we had the board meeting down there, it was $60,000.
On an annual basis?
On an annual basis, is what actually costs the school.
Okay.
Because you're going to pass everything else within the system. So 60,000, this is inclusive the power, the little incidentals for the student supplies, and all this. But I think it'd be even less if we really seriously got down to pen and paper. And this is where we the people of our island has to realize that the focus of the true Zamoros is by percentage is down south.
Yeah. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Fudge from Umatac. Fudge, welcome.
Hey, Senator. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
You know, I think right now the issue here is not just about the numbers, the money that we need to operate the school. The near fact is that our senators, our elected leaders, are not looking at where is the cut. There are a lot of cuts that can be done out there, such as the salary of those people that are earning high income. You know, they can get money from there. This is our children down here. And like I said over and over again, we're not closing a warehouse. We're not closing a retail store. We're closing our institution, our asset, it's really our own educational process institution that we are dealing with down here. And we are people down here. We're not animals, like Matt Richter had referred on his bill. We are people, and we have needs down here. So senators, leaders, and even the governor, I appeal to him, find those cuts within the department. You know, such as, what's her name, Senator or Speaker Umatac, who had created a charter school. And where is that money going to be coming from? From DOE. Why? Why close our school and then create another school? And then we have Senator Yamashita, who just created another bill to hire a manager to teach the maintenance people, the custodians in the school, how to work. Oh, come on now. We need the money, and those cuts have to be done there to keep our school open down here. So please, senators, it is not about how much you're spending down here for our children. It's not about the budget. We are humans down here.
Fudge, thank you very much for your call. Mr. Mayor, they're closing down. They're saying your students are too expensive to educate. 16,000 per student to educate versus 6,000. Let me ask you this: how do you guys score on SAT scores on an annual basis?
Remarkable for the last 2 years. It seems like the phenomenon I was saying about, as every time DOE challenges the people from Umatac, we improve, we find savings, we try and decimate the numbers so we can continue our school to open. This seems to be the last straw, because we've reached the highest of all potential. This is the dream team. This is the dream school that DOE is looking at. They want to eliminate it. Purposely? Yes. Purposely because it is a sheer example of the successes of people with very little money, with more managing power, with the belief that if we follow the system the way it's set up, the successes of the school and the students and the parents alike will contribute to that dream team. And I say this to all the school students and out there: if you cannot believe in your own system at where you're at, come on down to FQ. Maybe we can teach you a thing or two. But we don't say this by trying to be very facetious. I say this with believability, because we are the example of a role model school.
There we go. Hey, we're going to take a quick break right now and then come back more with Mayor Dean Sanchez from the village of Umatac. Tama na magi.